What is up, people? Teja here. This is going to be a short video. I assume I will try to keep it short. But anyways, I wanted to try out Claude Code in this video to see if it can actually do pen testing workflows. Now I'm going to be testing it on HackTheBox. If you don't know what HackTheBox is, it's a platform for CTFs and other pen testing skills or pen testing workflows, I guess. There's basically a list of machines, intentionally vulnerable machines that you can spin up on HackTheBox, and then you can try to exploit those machines. Now, this is obviously for training purposes, for the sake of learning the art of pen testing and improving your skills. So this is a great platform. I used to do this all the time when I was preparing for my OSCP. I don't use it anymore, but when I started using Claude Code, which is like a week ago, I used to use Claude, like the LLM itself, in Copilot, but I've never used Claude Code until this week. And it's simply great. Now, the way I see how it is different from like an actual web interface of Claude, right, is that it comes with inbuilt MCP servers or inbuilt MCP integrations. Now, if you're living under the rock and don't know what an MCP is basically a way for you to give an LLM the ability to directly interact with an application. Now, let's say you want to do some web scraping, right? But you want to also make use of an LLM to help you with web scraping. Intuitively, like before MCP, what you would do is you would type in a prompt on the LLM, like let's say ChatGPT, and then it would give you some code, let's say some Python code that you would copy and then execute on your machine, which does the web scraping, that you requested based on your requirements, right? That's before MCP. But after MCP, you can basically give the LLM direct access to your web browser so that it can make direct API calls to your web browser and do the web scraping, all automated. You don't have to copy code from one place and execute it manually. The LLM does everything. It directly makes API calls, or in this case, the LLM can make tool calls to do the operations that it wants to do. And then it will also be able to read the responses of those tool calls, understand them, build context, and then decide what to do next to accomplish the task that you have given it, right? So that's the broad idea of MCP, and it's really cool. I'm gonna make a dedicated video talking about MCP and how to create your own MCP server, but that's going to be another video. So the reason I brought up MCP is because the way I see Claude Code, which is Claude, the LLM itself, with some inbuilt MCP integrations. And it also provides a way to connect custom MCP servers to Claude. You could do all of this stuff with Claude Code. Now, it has a terminal version, which is basically a CLI. It also has integrations like extensions for IDEs like VS Code and JetBrains, and it also has like a GUI app that you can use. So I'm going to use the CLI version of Claude Code. One of the major integrations that Claude Code comes with is its ability to execute bash commands on your machine. So using Claude Code, you can say something like, hey, can you check if OpenVPN is already installed on my machine? And if it's not already installed, go ahead and install it, please. And Claude Code will be able to run the bash commands to first check if OpenVPN is installed. And if it's not installed, it then installs it by running the appropriate command. So basically, I see that functionality as an MCP itself that allows Claude, the LLM, to execute bash commands on your machines. Now, it comes with other integrations as well, like it can read files, it can write. So obviously that is incredibly powerful because Claude can directly run commands, and it's also a little bit scary because, well, Claude can run any commands. It can do anything. It can run the commands that it wishes to run, and it's just scary, right? So I'm gonna put Claude Code to test to see if it can hack any of the HackTheBox machines. And to do that, I'm gonna make use of Kasm Workspaces because, as I said, Claude is going to try to run some commands, and I don't want to trust it blindly, so I don't want to run this on my actual local machine. Instead, I'm going to spin up a Kali Linux session or a Kali Linux container on Kasm, which would create its own isolated Kali Linux desktop that I can use. And inside that desktop, inside that session, I can configure Claude Code and I can make it run commands, and I don't have to worry about a thing because it's just ephemeral container that I can destroy at any time. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the Kali Linux workspace. And actually, I think I have a PWA installed for this workspace already, so I can just directly run desktop app, but this is actually a PWA. As soon as I click on it, it's going to spin spin up a Kali Linux session and then open it up. This is nothing but a browser window, what you're seeing on the screen, but it behaves like a native desktop application with the help of PWA. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and install Claude Code on my Kali Linux session. Just a simple command. I'll copy paste it here. So Claude is successfully installed. Now I just need to add it to my path variable so that I can run the Claude command from anywhere. So I am just gonna copy this command, paste it here. And now let me create a new directory called HTB, which stands for HackTheBox. Let me go into there, and over here, I'll go ahead and run the Claude command. And there we go. That is the Claude CLI, the terminal interface. Okay, I'll select dark mode, and I have a Claude account already. I have the Pro subscription currently, so I'm gonna make use of that. Click enter. It opens that up in the browser, and let me go ahead and log in to my Claude account. Perfect. So I'm now logged in. Come back, I'll hit enter again, and it asks me, do you want to work in this folder? And I'm gonna say yes. And I'm actually going to exit out of Claude because I want to run Claude. Actually, let me do Claude -- help, and I want to run it with this flag that says dangerously skip permissions. Now, the reason I want to enable this flag is because when Claude runs a command, before it runs the command, it displays a prompt asking you for permission if it can execute that particular command, right? But I don't want that. I don't want to sit through and, keep reviewing the prompts and keep hitting enter on my keyboard to allow those command executions. I want Claude to be able to do everything automatically by itself without waiting for my permission to do anything, right? So I'm going to copy this, and I am going to run Claude with that particular permission. It's going to show you a warning. I'm going to just say I accept. Now, since I'm using a Sandbox Kali Linux session, which is completely isolated, completely ephemeral, I can destroy this once it's done. So there is really no risk here by trusting Claude with executing commands automatically. And that's the reason I'm using Kasm. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is if I just type help. Okay, that's not what I want. Let's see. I guess it's agents. There you go. I want to create a new agent to exploit the HackTheBox machine. So I'm going to type /agents. I'm going to create a new agent here. You can either do a project level agent or a machine or a user level agent, I guess. I'm going to do a personal, which is the user level agent. I'm going to click on generate with Claude. And here I can just explain in natural language what I want my agent to do. So, okay, let me start by saying you are a HackTheBox platform member who is really good at CTFs and exploiting HTB machines. You have really good pen testing skills. Your job is to enumerate, plan, and exploit a HTB machine. You will be given an IP address of the target machine. Your goal is to exploit the machine and find the user and root flags. Document each step of the pen testing process in detail and write a final walkthrough to a file. I want every detail. I also want it to maintain cleanliness, I guess, while it's creating files or writing files, etc. So I'm just gonna say for each machine, make a directory with the IP and then place all the related files in this directory to keep the workflow sanitary. I guess that should be it. I'm just gonna click on enter, and Claude is now basically going to generate a prompt based on the description that I just given it. So I'm just gonna wait for it. Okay, so it looks like it created the agent. Next step, it asks me what tools I want my agent to be able to access. So I'm going to let it be the default, which is access to all the tools across all the MCP servers that are connected. By default, it doesn't have any external MCP servers connected, but we don't need them. We only need the inbuilt MCP that gives Claude the ability to run bash commands. That's all we need. We want Claude to be able to run commands on the terminal, just like a pen tester would want to have to exploit something. Right? So click on continue. It asks me to choose a model. I'm gonna choose the default, the Sonnet, just choose red. And this is what it generated. It named it as HTB Machine Exploiter. I like that name. And this is the path where the agent instructions file is saved. The model and the description: use this agent when the user provides an IP address of the access machine. Okay. This is actually the description for the user, not the LLM itself. But here is the actual system prompt. Now you can see it truncated it, but you can actually see the entire system prompt by opening this file. But I trust Claude. I trust that it created a good set of instructions or a good system prompt. So I'm going to click on enter, and there you go. New agent is now created. So I'm going to go to HackTheBox now. HackTheBox, login. There you go. It's already here. Login. I'm going to log into my HackTheBox really quick. So I logged into my HackTheBox labs. The first thing I want to do is I want to connect to the HackTheBox VPN so that I can actually access the vulnerable machines that I'll spin up in some time. So I'm going to download the OpenVPN file here, and it's downloaded. So I'm going to open up a new terminal here, and I'll go to the downloads directory, and I'm going to connect to this OpenVPN configuration. Now, I don't really have to do this. I can just tell Claude to do it. Let's see if OpenVPN is installed. It's not, so I'll do sudo apt-get update and sudo apt-get install OpenVPN. That should install OpenVPN. All right. Now, let me go ahead and do sudo OpenVPN and then pass in the OpenVPN configuration. And let's see, is it connected or not? Oh, there you go. It says initialization sequence completed. That's a sign that the OpenVPN connection is successful. So I'll come back to my Claude and let's start with the hacking. So I'll go back to HackTheBox here, and I'm gonna do a easy machine because I don't really want to push Claude to the limits just yet. Maybe I'll do it in another video, but in this video I just want to see if it can exploit like a easy level machine on HackTheBox. So I'm obviously going to do it on retired machines. I'm not going to do it on active machines. So I'll just do 2 million. The name of the machine is 2 million and it has 4.7 reviews. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask Claude to hack this machine right here. So I'll click on spawn the machine. Machine is spawning up, and in some time I should have the IP address, the internal IP address of the machine, and I'll go ahead and pass that to Claude. So it looks like the machine finally came online. That took a while. I'm just going to copy the target IP address here, come back to Claude, and I'm going to say in natural language, use the HTB machine exploiter agent that I just created to exploit the HackTheBox machine at, and then I'll paste the IP address of the machine, and that's it. I'll just hit enter, and I'm gonna now wait and see what Claude does. It should be able to enumerate the machine first. It should be able to plan the next steps. I don't know, do directory enumeration or other exploitation techniques. Its final goal is to capture both the user flag and the root flag, and also to write a final walkthrough or a report explaining all the steps that it did, right? So I can already see that it's trying to do an nmap scan, and I can already see a directory that's named after the IP address, after the target IP, and it also seems to have created a subfolder called scans. That is exactly what I instructed it to do, and actually I just want to see that in action, so I'll just do an ls here. There is a new folder which is named after the IP address, and it looks like there are subfolders in here. Let me go to scans, and let's see, we have all ports, initial scan. Let me just look at the initial scan, and this is the nmap output, which reveals the open ports on the target machine. So far, it's going great. Claude is doing enumeration at this point. And I would assume this would take a little while. I would say it would take at least 10 minutes, the entire process to finish. Maybe even more than that, maybe 20 minutes. I don't know. So I'm going to leave the recording on, and I'm probably going to speed up this entire process. And let's see if Claude actually manages to exploit this machine. And if so, let's see how it does with the final walkthrough report that it produces. I'm really excited to see this. Oh, and I can also hold Control O on my keyboard to switch to this mode that displays the actual thinking Claude is doing and the actual tools and actual commands that Claude is executing in real time. Or I may choose not to, and I can switch back to the default mode by holding Control O again to toggle back to the default view. Okay, it looks like Claude Code is finally done. It looks like it is successful in exploiting the machine. And you can see the time that it took is almost 30 minutes. So it took 30 minutes to exploit this machine, and I assume it captured both the user flag and also the root flag. I don't see the root flag here, but maybe it included that in the report or the walkthrough. But anyway, let me actually go ahead and open this entire folder in VS Code so that I can look at the report. So we have a summary.md and we have the user flag. And do we have the root flag? We don't have the root flag, it looks like. It says the machine has been fully compromised with user access achieved and root escalation path documented. So it looks like it got the user flag, but it did not get the root flag. That's what I get. Let's see here. Root flag. Okay, so it looks like it got the user flag, but it did not manage to find the root flag. But first of all, let me validate if this user flag is actually correct and it did not hallucinate or anything. I'm gonna try to submit that, and that is a valid user flag. So this is legit. This walkthrough, everything that Claude Code did is legit. But it did not manage to find the root flag. It says that the vulnerability is identified, so I don't know why it was not able to do that. Maybe it hit a timeout value or something. I'm just gonna say, please get the root flag as well. Let's see what it does. Okay, it says, I'll help you capture the root flag. Let me check the status of the root flag attempt, and if needed, execute the privesc to get it. All right, that sounds promising. So let's see if it will actually be able to capture the root flag. So let's see if it will actually be able to capture the root flag. Okay, so it's done, and it says the machine has been fully compromised with validated root access, while the root flag itself wasn't exfiltrated due to technical complexities with the nested command injection. The privilege escalation method has been proven and documented. In a real engagement, an interactive shell could be established to directly read root/root.txt. And that actually makes sense to me, because in some cases, you may only be able to read the root flag from an interactive shell, which Claude Code does not have. So it actually also gave me some evidence of root access. It says the loot directory contains multiple files confirming root access was achieved, and it shows me the UID and GID, which clearly show they are root. So I actually trust Claude with this. So anyway, I'm going to open the summary here, or actually let me open the walkthrough and let's see what it generated for us. All right, machine information, IP address, host name, operating system, kernel, and then it starts with a summary. The 2 million machine is a recreation of the old HackTheBox platform. The attack path involves reverse engineering JavaScript to generate an invite code, registering an account on the platform, exploiting an insecure direct object reference vulnerability, exploiting command injection, gaining initial access, pivoting to admin, and then exploiting a kernel vulnerability. So user flag it captured, which is valid. Root flag it was not able to capture, but it did find a vulnerability to privesk into root. Port scanning 22 and 80. I did a full port scan, only found 22 and 80 were open. Web enumeration, did it find anything? I don't think it did. Okay, it did find these endpoints, and then it examined this JavaScript file which contained some obfuscated code which revealed this particular endpoint. And here you go, the initial access vector making a curl request to the secret API endpoint gives this response, which looks like some kind of encryption, and it's a ROT13 encryption. And so it was able to decode that, and this is the decoded message, and then it sent a request, and then it sent a curl to this endpoint here. This is the response, which contains the code, base 64 encoded. If you decode it, it looks like some kind of invitation code, and then I guess you could register an account with that invitation code and then log in, retrieve the session ID after the login. Vulnerability analysis, it also did a vulnerability analysis. And the first vulnerability is IDAR. This is the command that it executed. It sent a request to this endpoint by setting the isAdmin flag to 1. So basically to give yourself admin access if the web app has the IDAR vulnerability. And if you want to learn more about what an IDAR vulnerability is, I already have a dedicated video explaining about it. I'll leave a link to that in the description below, so go check it out. So looks like that worked, and we got ourselves a admin access. That's the first vulnerability. The second one is command injection. The admin VPN generation endpoint was vulnerable to command injection via the username parameter, and this is the injection point. And gaining a reverse shell, obviously when you have command injection, you could do a reverse shell command like this to get a shell. That's cool. And then credential discovery, and then it looks like it found a .env file that contains the DB username and the password. Using the discovered credentials and command injection, exfiltrated the user flag. That makes sense. And then comes the privesk part, enumeration as admin. So I checked the admin folder. It found the email. It looks like the email has some kind of hint talking about the Linux kernel CVEs, which involves overlay FS. And then it checked the kernel version, and it detected that particular kernel is vulnerable to these CVEs. And here's some explanation on how that particular CVE works and how to exploit it. It also created a exploitation script. And here it says, due to technical constraints with the command injection method, the final root flag retrieval encountered issues. However, the vulnerability is confirmed and the exploit methodology is valid. So that actually looks like a very, very well written walkthrough for me. Now, I know it did not manage to actually exfiltrate the actual root flag string, but it still gave us the exact step-by-step information about how to privesk to root. To me, that's great. And again, I don't want to advocate cheating in HackTheBox by making use of an LLM, because in my personal opinion, this is huge when it comes to learning. Like, you could have the LLM generate a walkthrough for you that you can read and understand. And that is the aspect that I really like about it. Not that it is fully automated, not that you can make use of it to kind of cheat in a CTF competition or whatever. Claude's ability to document all this and create a report is actually the key point here. And I actually prefer for it to not exfiltrate the root flag for me, because that forces me to follow this walkthrough, follow the steps that Claude gave me, and then get the root flag by myself. That would encourage me to get my hands dirty and actually learn something instead of, I don't know, vibe hacking. But anyway, that will be all for this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you found this video interesting. Me, I absolutely find this incredible. Like, just an year back, there's just so much that you can accomplish by giving an LLM the ability to directly interact with applications or execute commands using MCP. So let me know in the comment section if you want me to make a dedicated video about what exactly an MCP is, how to create an MCP server, and how to use it to do some really cool stuff. That'll be all for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, cheers.